Good morning, everybody. My name is Brandon Deloney Fulmer, BF44, of course. You've come to my channel because you know that I either talk about NBA or talk about topics that I probably need to know a lot more about. Openly ignorant, but most importantly, very, very open to speaking my mind in hopes of not only learning, but sharing how I view certain things. There's a fox in the henhouse, ladies and gentlemen. It's called oversaturation and force feeding. People will tell you that you must agree with each and every aspect of a situation or go along with each and every aspect of a situation, knowing that there's no balance in the situation, knowing that there's absolutely no room for people to have disagreements within it. You see it in politics. You see it in identity. You see it in sexuality and other aspects of this society that we live in today. You are told that because you don't agree with every single facet of a situation, that you are wrong, evil, phobic, awful, hateful. How does that make you feel? Frustrated, unheard, ultimately angry, and then from there comes hatred. I've seen this as it pertains to my own situation as a black man in a world where people were told that every aspect of my humanity must be agreed with on every level by people who are not like me, who were not used to normalcy like me, and as a result, there are many people who would hate me for reasons that otherwise wouldn't come about if they were to just have a conversation with me. You are told to ignore every negative aspect of my race, my culture, just like I'm told to never, ever, ever, ever allow you to have any wiggle room to say anything negative about me, or otherwise you are a racist, you're a bigot. We haven't communicated enough to know what matters to one another. We don't know one another, but society has told us that we must accept one another as this or that, and no balance needed to help define what it is that we are. Same goes for sexuality, gay folks, trans. I'm told that I must, absolutely must, agree with every single thing that a person tries to involve themselves in, even if they're trying to do wrong in the process. Wrong, as I see it. Haven't had a conversation with one single trans person, haven't had a conversation with one single gay person, and yet, if I don't go along with everything that they're trying to do in any way, shape, and form, I am phobic. But if I do go along with everything that they want done, I am wonderful. When my heart and my mind and my lack of communication tells me that there's somewhere in between that's okay, somewhere in the world I can sit down with a trans person and have a reasonable conversation about why it's important for me to accept who they are and why it's important for them not to oversaturate their rights upon everyone else. And I think we could both get up and agree that somewhere in between, things will be okay. But there's no communication, only labels, and the oversaturation of energy that is said to make people accept one another, but I've surmised that it's actually meant to make people hate one another. There's a fox in the henhouse, ladies and gentlemen, and it's called oversaturation. There's a fox in the henhouse, everyone, and it's called a lack of communication. There's a fox in the henhouse, and it's called lack of balance. I've fallen victim to this in many cases, even as it pertains to politics in my country. Democrats and Republicans. Democrats, the liberals. Go along with everything liberal, and you're a solid liberal. Go along with anything conservative, and you're a damn racist. There's no in between. If you're a black man, you better be liberal. If you're a gay man, you better be liberal. If you're a white man, you better be conservative. Unless you're gay or a nigger lover. There's a fox in the henhouse, ladies and gentlemen. And the sad thing is, we're not the only two people in the room. There are people all over this world watching us, waiting for us to get it together, following our lead. And we haven't even found the balance that we need. We sit back and we ask and demand of the world to follow us when we need to be led toward a balance. We need to get these foxes out of our henhouse. We need to realize what's actually taking place here. We're told that acceptance is what we need to strive for, but the communication isn't there. We're told to believe in entities and fallacies even in certain situations. We're told to believe in the too far over the line aspects of certain things, or else we're evil human beings and need to be thrown to the side. What will be the normalcy of tomorrow? I ask. Pedophilia is what they're trying to introduce into our lives now. I see it in little bits and pieces of the world that I see around me in different entities. They try to sexualize our children and introduce different things to tell us that maybe, just maybe, this is okay. And then tomorrow, be more and more, and eventually, you're pedophobic if you don't allow a man to walk down the street with his 8-year-old wife, like it's done in Yemen. Pedophobic. It's coming. You will be awful if you don't allow such a thing. And they will oversaturate you with what it is to the point where you hate everyone. And you'll see no balance in understanding that children need to be protected. And that, yes, pedophilia is a sickness that people do not control. Sometimes it's passed on to them by the sickness that was held by somebody who passed it to them. But no, right now, we're still in a space where it's awful to the naked eye. But 50 years from now, I see it going a different way, unfortunately. The balance for me is, as it pertains to that particular conversation, children must be protected above all your rights, above all your preferences. And although that line is far away from where we're trying to cross, I see we're trying to push that limit. We're headed there. There's a fox in the henhouse, ladies and gentlemen. And it's called a lack of balance, a lack of communication, and a lack of understanding. We need to communicate with one another. We need to share our stories. We need to tell ourselves, one another rather, the truth. That we are a lost bunch of people trying to figure out what's true, and that there are entities trying to make us hate one another. And they're using oversaturation and separation as a means of doing so. And eventually they're going to continue to push those lines into places that we don't think are normal, no different than things that weren't normal before. Like accepting people for being who they are, trans, gay, and otherwise. Or accepting African Americans as individuals who deserve to have their freedoms, their rights, their ability to maneuver through the world that is America. See, that line continues to cross further and further, and though I felt that being an African American meant that I should have the freedoms of the world, and yes, that was a good thing, but that line kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And it went from good people having good things to now people trying to bleed in awful things into things that are more or less that same line. It went from African American to gay. Tomorrow it'll be pedophilia, and after that it'll be bestiality, maybe. I don't know where we're truly headed, but I can see what's going on here. I can see clearly that there is a fox in the henhouse. And though the topics that I brought up were just a few, there are others. But you remember the spirit of oversaturation. That's what I want you to take from this situation, in the line that's been moved from good people and honest people having their freedoms to sick people and horrible people asking for their freedoms. And eventually, that line will be so far away blurred that we will think that if it's not allowing others and everyone to do everything, then you're phobic of whatever it is that they choose to be. That you're racist for whatever it is that they find themselves becoming. That you're bigoted to whatever it is that they want to allow. There's a fox in the henhouse. BDF.